Hey,
Hey mate.
yeah, buddy, how are you?
Yeah, good. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Nice. How
How
you
you?
doing? You all right?
Stay safe.
Can you hear me and see me and all good?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Nice. Cool.
So,
Yeah, I'm good. What's going on?
good. I just want to kick it straight off. So, I want to know how you started media first of all. Like, how did this interest in media form?
I guess I was lucky growing up. My dad was very techie. Like he was a computer programmer, so sort of had like computers around, and then he had his first, like when digital cameras first came out, like
Yeah,
little compact digital cameras. And I think I just picked that up, and I can remember it only used to be able to film for like 60 seconds because
yeah,
that was all the little SD card could take. And I just started making little movies at home when I was about 13, and then it sort of just developed from there. I guess I just sort of always had it as a hobby,
mm,
and eventually got like a VHS camera that my dad bought me, and then sort of self-taught myself editing, and it just sort of, yeah, it just developed from there really all the way up until university, where I did film and television production at university.
okay. So, like, what's the timeline then? So, what did you end up doing after university, or did you end up getting like a job through university? Like, how did it all work?
Sure. So at university, I okay. So yeah, I went to York University and studied film and television production,
Mhm.
which was great because it was a brand new course at the time, but it had amazing facilities because it was brand new, like campus, and they sort of taught you everything to do with filmmaking. Essentially, like we were, you'd have to shoot, you'd have to produce, you'd have to edit, you'd have to go into a sound studio with all these mixers, and you didn't know what you're doing, but you kind of worked it out.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was kind of cool. It gave you like a broad spectrum of everything, which later down the line helps you sort of appreciate every single role in making something.
mm,
Um, and I was lucky at university. I had a very close group of friends on the course, and there's like four of us, and we set up a little company whilst at the university, going and getting an enterprise grant from the university because we started doing little promo vids for companies in York
yeah.
while we were there. And then we sort of, as soon as we finished university, we did that. We spent that first summer. We actually stayed in York and
Mhm.
produced like 5 or 6 promo vids out there, and then with our little company. And then after that, straight after that, essentially that following January, we, three of us, and it was never really the plan, all ended up at a place called the National Film and Television School doing
Okay.
a master's. It wasn't ever all the plan to all go there or anything. It somehow just came about, and I mean, I was very lucky. The only reason I sort of was able to go there was because I got a scholarship,
Yeah.
and so then I did a master's at NFTS in producing and directing television entertainment. So it was like the TV side of things,
Okay.
which was cool. So that's sort of where I went after uni.
So you did quite a lot of education, I guess, didn't you, in order to kind of get to that, get to that. Like, how did education really help in terms of where you're at now, or do you reckon it was just kind of like really getting all the
Yeah,
information?
it's an interesting question because I get people do ask me, oh, should I go to film school and all this kind of stuff.
Mm,
Like most of the time, I'm like, no, it's
yeah.
not. It's absolutely not the be all and end all. It can be very expensive and
Yeah.
time out of your life. But whilst I was at the film school, we carried on our company. So
Okay.
I've always done like, let's call it extracurricular stuff,
Yeah.
which I need because like, I didn't find the course as intensive as maybe I wanted it to be. And so we were always doing stuff. And like, I honest, that's where I've learned the most. Yes, I've learned some invaluable stuff at uni and then doing my masters. I will never,
Mhm.
I always respect that. And trust me, I learned some great stuff. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like you maybe make more mistakes when you're just out there doing it yourself
I've
and you're
got
sort of,
vouch for that. Yeah.
yeah, figuring out how
100%.
you do it. So, and that little company that we did at film school, we went like full time with as soon as we finished film school. It wasn't like, oh, we went into a job. We went full time and did our own little company for 2.5 years in London,
Nice.
and that was such a good experience because we were all doing everything. Yes, I was sort of mainly directing, and the other guy was mainly shooting, the other guy was mainly producing, but at the same time, we were all like, had to do our accounts, we had to get new business in, we ended up employing a couple of people, we had to look after our office, all that kind of, all the other stuff that you have to
Yeah.
do. client relations. So again, just learning a bit of everything from York Uni all the way through to there that's what's really given me that foundation, I'd say, more so than education.
100%. And does that company still stand, or are you more of a freelancer?
No, it's not. So we all in sort of towards the summer of 2018, we all decided to go our separate ways. We all ended up doing more and more freelance work outside of the company.
Yeah.
And as like a tiny, company that doesn't really register in London, essentially, like we were never going to get the briefs in for, I don't know, that really cool Nike advert that we wanted to do. That you were a freelancer associated with a bigger, more established company elsewhere. So it was sort of the right time, but at the same time, I'm really proud of it. It we made a living in London, it was cool. And we we employed 2 people as well on top of us as 3 directors of the company. Yeah. So it was learnt loads, and I was with my best mates. And we're all still best mates still, it was a great experience.
Are you based in London now still? Are you down in London?
Yeah.
That's where it's all at, isn't it? London.
Well, yeah, again, it wasn't, never planned, must go to London, but I guess it just sort of happened,
100%. And it's better to build a network down south, because there's just so much more going on and there's more opportunities.
Sure. But I mean, there's stuff happening up in Leeds, right? Leeds, New York, Manchester. Yeah. It's a hub, and like a lot of stuff's moving up there, right?
Yeah, it's becoming much of a bigger industry, 100%. And Channel 4 is now coming up to Leeds as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of things happening, which is good. Fingers crossed, it'll get bigger.
I've got a lot of mates that do stuff in York still, and they're doing really well. So
I remember you getting me in touch with that guy, and also Manchester is very good for filmmaking because they've got the media city and stuff like that. So
yeah, exactly.
So it's pretty good. It's pretty popping up here at the moment. I just want to talk about, because you've done a lot of commercials, and I know that's kind of like your primary thing. How did that all form in together, especially with the recent ones? Because I first saw your work through the Josh Warrington advert that he did for his for the fight, and that's blew my mind. And then ever since then, I've just kind of followed your work since. So just talk to me how you managed to, first of all, do the Josh Warrington advert, and then obviously talk a bit more about commercial work and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. I think, so whilst I'm back in our little company, I started doing for a friend of mine who was in the sort of boxing world at the time as like a sort of presentery type.
Yeah.
We got introduced to Frank Warren, who runs you've got Eddie Hearn, who does all the Sky Sports fighters, and then Frank Warren that does all the BT Sport fighters. Yeah. So we were making like little promo vids for them. That was how I sort of started doing boxing promos, I'm going to call it, before. Let's not call it commercials at that point. And that was just to sell tickets for their events. So it's just a hype film for their fights. So, but then eventually I was making these for Frank Warren for, not very much money, but it was a really cool thing. Because biggest thing I'd say is I'm a massive sports fan, sports player. So like being able to make sports content is like right up my street, and I love it. And I hopefully am able to get on the, understand and get on the level with different athletes and sort of got a good broad sport knowledge. So, and I just love it. So anyway, so we're making these little promos for Frank Warren, and then BT, because they're associated with those fighters, got in contact and were like, oh, we see what you're doing there. Maybe you could start doing some for us. And they had a bit more budget than Frank Warren. Yeah, still not a crazy amount, but enough to like push it a little bit more. Yeah. And that's sort of how it moved on to doing the bigger name fighters and the promos or commercials that you see for the on BT.
That's amazing.
And Josh Warrington's a legend. So
yeah, he's such a legend.
That's all I'm going to say. He's like the nicest guy ever, man.
He is 100%. And also, like now, recently, you did the Honda one, and I love that because it's kind of like you've got to make something like just a lawnmower into a creative kind of story, and you did it very, very well. Was that through? Yeah. Are you like in a mix with a certain amount of production companies, or do lots of people?
Yeah, so after we split up from our little company, we all went freelance, and then like, as an ambition to be like a director, and I'd been working in sort of, let's call it like the promo world, and sort of wanted to step up a bit more into the commercial world. Essentially, sort of the old form, the format is you need to be represented by a production company, and one of the bigger ones. So I was very fortunate. I pinged out a few emails, and a production company called Outsider. Have a really good sort of history and reputation, etc. liked what they saw, I guess. And then we started just developing a relationship there. And then, you know, sort of a year down the line, on off, doing a few little projects here and there, like we eventually signed with them. And yeah, so that's sort of who essentially I work for, although I'm still freelance. And yeah, we've got a great partnership, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And that's where the Honda thing, you know, so Outsider, they, as a sort of really established production company, they get really, let's say, cool briefs in from creative agencies who represent clients such as Honda, such as whoever. And then it's up to you as a director. You pitch on it with your production company and sort of say, this is how you can do it. This is what I'm going to bring to the table. And then you're up against 2 other directors from other production companies at the time. And then the agency and the client make a choice on who they want to work with. And I think, yeah, with that Honda advert, it was sort of like, can we, you know, it was like, can I take what I do in this boxing or football sports world into lawn mowing, essentially? Can we make the dopest lawn mowing advert ever seen, was kind of all we kept saying to ourselves. So it was like bringing that sort of energy, which is part of what I do, I guess, into the lawn mowing. It
was amazing, mate. I loved it. So would you, well, obviously it sounds like you're definitely suggesting it. So the best, from what I'm getting from this, is kind of like, if you want to step up your game, like especially with the commercial stuff and whatnot, best way to do is go through production companies that have that establishment of working with big brands, or like, and also, how do you approach that? Do they kind of get in contact with you, or do you get in contact with them? It's kind of like,
I'll be honest, it was like, that's sort of the first time after uni where I was a bit more by myself. You know, I've always had like the security of being with my mates and like doing our own little thing where you're sort of relying on each other, and you sort of, that's cool. But at that point where, I guess that's probably the first time where I'm like, it's almost felt like applying for a job. Do you get what I mean? So it's like you're sort of cold calling emails. I was just very lucky. I sent an email. I sent like 5 emails to different production companies. Didn't hear back from 4 of them, but the one that I did hear back from was Outsider. And then I had a quick chat with them. And at the time, what was really, again, I got very lucky. They were starting to want to do more sports stuff.
Okay.
And had like a little sports division. So we first said hello to each other and, okay, cool, nice introduction. You know, nothing's going to happen overnight. And then I was sort of doing my own little thing with other little production companies here and there. And then I went and made a short film about 2 boxers in Bermuda, off my own back. And I made that. And that was like 3 months after I'd first spoken to Outsider. And then I sent that to Outsider, just like, hey, you know, like, this is what I've been up to, just in case they were interested. And then I was very, very lucky. They like called me within 10 minutes, the chap there, who now I'm very good friends with and who's a producer there, and said, hey, I love this. We didn't actually meet the first time. You met someone else. Let's come in and have a chat. Tell me about yourself. And then it just went from there, really. So I think sometimes it can be a piece of work that they see, or a style that, and also timing. Like I say, they wanted to do a bit more sports stuff, and on their like director roster, they perhaps didn't have loads of that. So then I offered maybe something that they could work with.
100%, yeah.
But again, I'm not saying it's that. I know a lot of directors. I just want to say as well, because like I say with film school, it's not like you don't have to go to film school. You like absolutely not, and you don't have to be signed by a production company to be a really good director.
Yeah, of course,
you know what I mean? Like I don't. I think especially nowadays, you can go out and just go and do with a camera. You can go shoot anything, and it can be so sick.
Yeah,
you know. Yes, of course it helps, like having an amazing scripts coming in and the resources, except of course. But I don't think that should ever stop anyone. I know a lot of directors that aren't assigned with companies, that companies are trying to sign, but they just stay freelance and can just work around anyone. They can work directly with brands. They don't need it, you know, and are doing really sick stuff. So there is different ways of doing it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing about this industry. There's no limits to it.
No.
And it's so free. Like, I think that's why I'm into it, because it's kind of like self-expression, and you can also do whatever you want without any limitations, like I said. So I know you've been working on, I didn't know you did a short film on the boxing in Bermuda, but are you working on a documentary now as well for that?
So yeah, we got so that short film about these boxers I made has now, since with the company, with Outsider, we're now producing a documentary about their story. Again, that was the short film that Outsider got latched onto anyway with me. That this is great. Hang on, what's the story here? This feels like it was them that said this feels like a trailer to a documentary. And I was like, funny you should say that. Here's everything else that I learned while I was out there about Bermuda, about these boxers, about the world they live in, that isn't actually in the film because I couldn't get it in.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this is so interesting. So we put it into like a treatment. You know, we got a deck together, like this is the story, and started pitching it, and luckily got a bit of investment to go and shoot like the first block of their story. And that project's been going on like, well, yeah, almost 2 years now.
Wow.
And yeah, it's I mean, it's been a passion project. We only got like a little bit of funding to start with, and the rest of it sort of being off our own backs.
Yeah.
So, you know, not been paid a penny for it, but I, you know, wouldn't want to be kind of thing. It's like, you know, these two guys out there, these boxers, and the community in Bermuda, like we're so friendly with, they've like welcomed us, and like, it's just like so amazing to just be a part of it and like just try and tell their story, because it's quite a universal story that's happening around the world, but on this tiny little island, it's because the island's only 65,000 people, and it's only 21 miles long, and everyone knows everyone. So it's so small. So, and then what's crazy about Bermuda in a sense is it's beautiful, and like from like a Western perspective, you see it as like maybe a tax haven, turquoise water, pink sand. That's sort of what you might think of it. And when I was there, I was like, God, this place is stunning. But if you scratch the surface, there's this like underbelly of Bermuda where there's like shootings, there's stabbings, but then they have a real gang problem.
Yeah.
Which obviously you hear about in wherever, Chicago or wherever around the world, Kingston, Jamaica, but in this tiny little island, it's amplified. And like, for example, one of our boxers, he grew up, you know, on the other side of the tracks essentially, and sort of was in that world, being in and out of jail, and sort of boxing saved his life. And, you know, there's places on the island that he can't go because people might want to do stuff to him. And that island, you can literally drive from one end to the other in like half an hour. It's that small.
Yeah.
So it's a really unique place, but the people there are absolutely amazing. And like just got such a cool vibe, so ambitious. It's got so much potential, the country. So we're like trying to tell that story
100%.
via the two boxes. And yeah, it's been cool. So hopefully we can finish that off. We need to film one more block, which is a big fight night. Once hopefully the world can start traveling again. And then, we'll see. Again, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know where it's going to live, but that's kind of cool. It doesn't matter. We just feel like we're making it with these guys who are like now our friends. Yeah. And it's just like a small team. It's just myself, a DOP who's like one of my best mates, and a sound recordist who's also a really good mate, and then a producer. Like that. That's it. It's just like a little team, and it's awesome. Yeah.
That's the best thing though. I think passion projects always are the best things, and the things that you really push the boundaries on, because
that is my biggest thing. Like, you know, like what's your like go and make stuff. I know it can be easy to say, and I know filmmaking, let's be honest, it can be expensive at times.
Yeah, very.
Like it can, like equipment or whatever you want to, like, all that kind of stuff, locations sometimes. But going to make your own stuff, like that's how I started picking up a camera. You know, was just making stuff with my mates or at home or whatever. It's almost like going back to that, and that's just there's a chance to learn and improve and try it and do things, and I think that's the best thing you can do.
100%.
Because sometimes, you know, you're making a commercial and it's a commercial for the client. It's not necessarily what you want to do or something. Do you know what I mean? Obviously you add your own stamp to it, but like when you're making a film just like how you would make it, like I went and made this little boxing film in Bermuda. I literally stayed on some guy's sofa out there for like 10 days and just like got to know everyone and filmed. I just filmed everything kind of thing. And then, you know what I mean? It was like, I was just living it. There was nothing else telling me how it should be.
Yeah, I fully get that.
So that's cool.
Living the experience, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'd always recommend if you can do that and you've got the time and you're able to do it, then definitely go and make your own stuff, 100%, because it will be your work then, and that's what people will latch onto.
Yeah, 100%. Also, have you ever thought of Hollywood, maybe?
I'll be honest, man. I've like made some really made some really bad short films at university. So like narrative based. So I'm kind of a bit scared to start now. I've got an ambition to go and you hear it a lot. You know, everybody wants to shoot TV dramas or films and stuff, and it does excite me. But at the same time, it's not like a goal or drive of mine right now. I don't really. It's like. It's something I want to challenge myself to do. Like I said, I made some bad stuff at uni, which I need to get over. But that's part of the fun, I guess. You know, I got a few little ideas for little things I want to make, but I wouldn't, as in when. I think right now I'm enjoying like the documentary space, if I'm honest, more so. And you know, what everyone's watching right now, if we're talking about the Michael Jordan documentary or whatever, it's like, hopefully there's a real appetite for sports docs with compelling stories, etc. So I'd like to just keep doing that right now, because it's like real people, and I enjoy that vibe of like getting to know people. And like I speak to these boxers in Bermuda like every other day. Like it's just like, that's cool. You can't beat that experience for me right now.
I think it's a benefit as well, using media to its advantages rather than, because obviously a lot of people see media as a negative thing, especially with the news and always blurting out like negative stories. I think it's important for us independent filmmakers to start shedding light and documenting positive stories. I think that's why I wanted to go to India and travel and stuff like that, and just take my camera as much as possible, because I wanted to show that, look, these countries are not what people think. Like,
agreed.
They're much more than that, and the people are lovely as well, and they have nothing but they're happy, and all like there's just so much that needs to be shown to the people, that because some people are so naive to media, to like the news, that they just believe everything that comes out their mouth. And really and truly, I'd probably say like 40% of it, 60% of it's false, probably. So it's just like showing a different side of media for the people.
Yeah, and some real stories.
Yeah, that's what I'm all about. I want to use media in a positive light.
Nice. Definitely.
So kind of like wrapping up a little bit, I know you give out loads of good advice, but any like more advice you could give out to people that are just starting out, or maybe like looking to get into your route and stuff like that? It's a very broad question, isn't it?
And it's cool. No, it's good. Okay. Yeah. Two things really. Again, is go and make stuff if you can.
Yeah.
But actually, let's be honest, in order to make stuff, you need help, and you need a little team. I was very, very fortunate. I you know, from the age of 18 to 23, 24, I was working with my best mates making films.
That's a dream.
Like, and we all helped each other and like got each other hyped and did it together. So I was so fortunate, and luckily we all had like slightly different skills, which obviously complements to make a team. And we just got each other. And like I said, I was working with my best mates, so I was very, very fortunate to have those people around me. So if you can find that community and that team, whether it is at university or whether it is in the local community, whether it's online, and have that, you know, have that support with each other, and you're only going to learn and get better with each other, because you can't do it all by yourself. That's what I'd say. Like, have that. And like, even now, you know, like, yes, I'm a freelance director, which sometimes can feel a bit like you're on your own, but I'm absolutely nowhere near on my own. I'm so lucky. I've got a production company I'm working with and producers there that support me every day. And then when you're on set, you've got your crew, and like, I've got like the DPs that I work with are like, again, some of them are like my best mates as well. I've got that, like, I want to feel like, I kind of want to feel like I'm always with my mates when you make it. Like, filmmaking should be fun, really. I think like we're extremely, I think filmmaking is like extremely fortunate that it gets you places in the world, or go to view industries and things that you would never normally see. Right. And you're accepted and you're able to capture that, and that's really cool. So like, it should be fun. So if you can build that environment around you that makes it fun, great. So I'd say that, and then trying to shoot your own stuff and get out there and do that. And I think in this day and age, listen, even myself growing up, you know, I still had access to a camera of sorts and was able to film stuff. I sort of self-taught editing. You sort of start learning about then sound and like all that kind of stuff. Like, we can do all that now. And so many resources out there to help you, like, and like just getting a broader knowledge of all the different things that go into storytelling or making a film is only going to help you in the future. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed.
I love sound design now, and it's like, I don't know what I'm doing in a sound design room, but I sort of know a sense of like, timing, little effects here and all that kind of stuff, because I've sort of done bits of it crudely, but at least I've sort of understood that world. And then you get the expert to do it. So just having that knowledge is really useful, I think.
100%. I didn't even know that sound was that important until I started implementing it into my projects, and I was just like, sound is so undervalued.
Mate, it's like 50% of a project.
It is.
When you get to that state, right? If you're happy, it's always cool. Like if you're happy with the cut and the picture's locked, and you're like, well, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mate, that's such a good position to be in. I love that moment because it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Like way better after that. That is such a satisfying like feeling to get to that stage. Yeah, man, sound is unbelievable.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for your time, because I know you're busy, so I really appreciate your time, honestly.
Oh, mate, totally. I hope I've been some kind of use.
Mate, it's been awesome. It's been good chatting to you.
You give me a shout anytime, you know that anyway.
Yeah, we'll
keep doing what you're doing. This is cool that you're doing this to get, you know, using the time and like, hopefully, you know, it can help the old person here and there and just get them thinking, you know, and
100%.
Motivated, hopefully. Yeah,
and it's good speaking to people, especially during this time as well. Like, it's for us creatives, it's so tough staying indoors because we always want to get out and do things, or like just be creative, but we're limited at the moment, which obviously is understandable. But it is tough for creatives, so I think it's good to just talk to other creatives and get advice as well at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. I've been doing that too, man. And like, everyone wants to know, well, when can we start shooting again? All this kind of stuff. But I think on that, I'm always optimistic anyway about anything, and I just think filmmaking at the end of the day is problem solving. Is how I sort of see it. You know what I mean? It just is just problem solving like the whole time. So I feel like our industry, yes, there'll be like restrictions, there'll be limits and whatever, but hopefully it can sort of bounce back and find new ways of working. And I think filmmakers are adapted to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Like you could be on a shoot and like suddenly your location, you're not allowed to use that. And you've got like an hour to get something. You go and do it. You just find a way, right? So hopefully we can implement that that attitude into this sort of new normal that's going to come. That's what I think.
Exactly, and just keep busy. I've been doing stuff in my bedroom all the time, just innovating, doing different things. It's the best thing.
Yeah, I've been like going back to editing actually, because I used to edit everything myself, and like I haven't done that recently. So it's nice to sort of just jump in and just muck around with some boxing shots. Do you know what I mean? Just to see, just get flow back.
It's a time to learn, mate. That's what it is. That's how I see it. It's a time to learn, 100%.
Absolutely.
Right, again, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best for the future. And
you too.
We can link up sometime soon.
Yeah, mate. As soon as this is over, if you're ever down this way or I'm up that way, I'll give you a shout.
Yeah, 100%. Take it easy.
Cheers, dude.
Take care. Bye-bye.